standard for the left.
Yeah, I love how the left does nothing but push the most bizarre practices down our throats and up our tailpipes.
It takes a real man to tackle the hot issues that really matter.
Michael Hart is the man of this house.
Welcome to the Michael Hart Show.
Hello, and welcome into the January 15, 2019 edition of the Michael Hart Show right here on the Heart of America Talk Radio Network. An awful lot to talk about today. We have got Louis Farrakhan news, who may very well be the Dems' hopeful for 2020 and who is leading the way. We've got toxic masculinity. Steve King removed from committee assignments amid some, racist remarks. Also, Jamie Foxx kind of chimes in on the whole gun rights debate. And Carol Channing, the legendary Broadway actress, has died at the age of 97. You are listening to the Michael Hart Show, which is part of the Heart of America Broadcast Network, brought to you in part by Liberty One. That's the number one, LibertyOneTech.com. For all your tech needs. Go check them out. You can have your systems secured as well as websites built. If you've got any technological needs whatsoever, Liberty One Tech is the place for you. They are the folks that make this podcast possible and get it circulated all around the web. So go check them out right now. Also, part of the Unknown America Project. If you like what we're doing here at the Unknown America Project, where we're trying to re-educate people on the realities in the world around them, please consider supporting the program. If you go over to, I know a lot of you listening on Spotify and Google Play and iTunes and things of that nature, but if you go over to Hart, H-A-R-T, heartofamerica.net, there is actually a button there, a patron button, and you can go over to Patreon and support us for as little as $1 a month. No, it doesn't sound like a lot, but every little bit adds up. As we grow this thing, we're in need of more personnel, more technology, more hardware, and certainly more coffee. So every single one of you guys plays a role in keeping us on the air. Had a couple of folks join on board yesterday. Some of you have actually done things privately, and we appreciate that as well. But we're not asking for a big chunk of change. Just your $6 a month keeps us chugging right along. Also, something that I discovered yesterday that I'm going to start doing as early as today. I have a pretty vibrant and growing LinkedIn following. And I had someone that sent me something yesterday on LinkedIn that I think I'm going to start using a lot. And this particular thing is called Chirp. And it is an app for Android and iPhones. Now, obviously, we're doing the program through the heartofamerica.net website, also, again, on YouTube and Periscope and all the other places that even I don't know, because our good friend Natali takes care of all that and has been an absolute blessing to the program. But with that said, there is another relatively new app that I'm thinking I'm going to really be liking. It's kind of Periscope-esque, but it's in a short form. And again, it's called Chirp. And Chirp is nothing more than 2-minute micro blogs where it's actually in audio. In other words, think of it as Twitter in voice, if you will. And the maximum amount that you can put in any one given chirp is 2 minutes. And I'm going to start using it and doing daily chirps for things that people might not have known about the news, what's going on in the news around them, what's happening on in this day in history. So if you happen to be on Chirp, please look for Heart of America and follow the program there. And if you're not, you might want to check it out because it's not just political. I mean, the list of the menu of things, there's this cool little aspect to it where it even has pre-loaded music, public domain music, that you can create your own little microblog. So for people that or micro podcast, probably a more accurate way of saying it. So for people that are interested in maybe podcasting but don't want to go to the extent of a studio and phone lines and all that kind of stuff, may very well be the place for you. So go check that out, and if you're so compelled, follow the program there as well. It was on this date, by the way, in 1777, that New Connecticut, present-day Vermont, declares its independence. Also, in the War of 1812, the year 1815 to be specific, USS frigate Commandeer, commanded by Commodore Stephen Decatur, is captured by a squadron of 4 British frigates. Also on this particular date, going all the way up to 1870. A political cartoon, for the first time, symbolizes the Democrat Party with a donkey. By the way, the headline was "A Live Jackass Kicking a Dead Lion." Also on this date, 1889, Coca-Cola Company, then known as the Pemberton Medicine Company, is incorporated in Atlanta. In 1892, James Naismith publishes the rules of basketball. All the way up to 1910, construction ends on the Buffalo Bill Dam, that is, in Wyoming, which is the highest dam in the world at that particular time. And finally, something you probably did not know about, in 1919, the Great Molasses Flood. No, really. No, seriously, a wave of molasses released from an exploding storage tank sweeps through Boston, Massachusetts, killing 21 people and injuring 150 more. That's pretty much all the news that's really worth mentioning that's even remotely cute today. All right, phone lines, 929. This is a phone edition of the program, 929-477-3761, 929-477-3761. Also, would remind you, Wednesday's broadcast, although we are archiving this, we got a pretty fair amount of people that listen to us live every day. And so, obviously, more downloads than live listens, but we do want to give you the heads up that we will be doing Unknown America tomorrow. For those of you that are local and or want to listen online, I will be hanging out with Joe Lockett on Outspoken on Thursday. I'll also be doing America Trends TV with Amy Fuller on Thursday. So you guys will be giving you the URLs, but if you're local to Birmingham and you're on Charter Spectrum or Spectrum Charter, whatever the hell you prefer, it's Channel 80, but you can also watch it AlabamaCableNetwork.com. And Amy's program is on the U2, T-O-O, U2 network, and it's called America Trends. So I appreciate both of those folks allowing us to come out and hang out with them. So an awful lot going on. All right, let's just jump right on in here and get right down to it. I'm pretty masculine, but I really don't know if I'm toxic. And I perhaps need therapy, or maybe I need a debugging or a debriefing. Because I don't even know what toxic masculinity is. Yesterday, I filled in on, again, Outspoken with Joe Lockett, as Baylor Cook he's out of the country. And Joe and I got into the discussion of civility in America, also talking a bit about bullying. Obviously, sometimes aggressive behavior of young men, like we don't see it with women. Same thing with the bullying. For every bullying video I've ever seen on social media, I see that there's at least, as many of women, girls, toddlers even beating the ever-living crap out of each other. So I don't know if this aggression that we're seeing in this country is related solely to men. But now, just days after the American Psychological Association announced that traditional masculinity is harmful to society and can lead to homophobia and sexual harassment, if you prefer, Gillette has released a new ad campaign touching on the same topic. Now, I've got the audio, and we're going to play it here in just a moment. But the company is using the new ad to tackle its own slogan, the best a man can get, Addressing issues of harassment, bullying, men's mental health, it also promotes the idea that men can and need to do better when it comes to holding each other accountable and treating women, for example, with respect, so as to set a better example for boys watching them. I don't entirely disagree with that. And you're going to have to Google or YouTube the actual ad, because there are a few things within it that I would consider to be traditional. For example, it might be helpful to remember that boys chase girls. I don't know if I'd go so far as to suggest that this is the further emasculation of the American male. But some of the things that are contained in this particular commercial, I don't know that I would necessarily consider toxic. Then again, I have a bias. The ad is titled "We Believe," begins with a kind of a compilation of actions commonly associated with toxic masculinity. We believe in the best in men to say the right thing, to act the right way. Some already are, but some is not enough. Because the boys watching today will be the men of tomorrow. Now, this is a narrator saying a eclipse of men defending others from bullying or stopping friends from harassing women. Now, when I say harassing women, I'm not talking, hey, baby, what you doing? Where you stay? You want to get up on some of this? There's a party in my pants. No, we're talking about men looking at women. You can hear in the audio, which we'll play here in just a second, one guy whistling at women. Now, I personally have never whistled at a woman. It's not because I am chivalrous or gentlemanly. It's because I can't whistle. But that notwithstanding, everything a man does is not toxic. And have these psychologists ever ventured out into nature? Seen two bucks rutting over a doe? Years ago, and I mean many years ago, I actually lived on what I will call a farm. However, to farmers, that would probably be offensive. But I had a piece of property, and I raised chickens. Silver lace Wyandottes, Aracanas, which lay colored eggs, really and truly, beautiful chickens. Giant black Acerlops, Rhode Island Reds, you name it, I tried it all. I brooded my own chickens. In other words, when the hens would lay, I put them in an incubator and then brought them up through being. I actually took old refrigerators and turned them into little warm brooders, because you got to keep these little pullets, these little chicks, as warm as you possibly can in the early days after they have hatched. So I got to be very familiar with raising chickens in a micro setting. And obviously, some of these chickens turned out to be roosters. Let me just put it to you this way. Rooster sex is violent. Yep. When chickens do it, it gets rather rough and tumble. Because the hens really kind of, they're not into it. They got a headache. They've been working all day. They've been laying eggs. They're really not in the mood, But the rooster ain't having nothing to do with it. Now, is the chicken analogy a justification for taking advantage of women? No, of course it's not. But throughout all of nature, men have been pursuers. That's kind of the way it was designed to work. I get so amused when you have people that are trying to break down biology from a psychoanalysis perspective. And these people with these agendas that, from my perspective, are not very well thought through. Is bullying in this country a problem? Yeah, it is. But it's become worse with the advent of social media, and perhaps that's a breakdown in the family. Is assault against women in this country a problem? Well, if history has taught us anything in the last several weeks, it's been going on for the last, several centuries. Doesn't excuse it. In this case, I don't think technology made it worse. I think technology simply exposed the R. Kellys and the Harvey Weinsteins and the Kevin Spaceys, et cetera, Bill Cosby, et ceteras of the world. Every time we hear these stories, we'll be hearing things like, it's been going on for decades. And again, that's not a justification for it. But I am really losing patience with the idea that everything in this country is suddenly toxic and that everybody needs a damn hashtag in front of their name because they're a victim. Now, Gillette is taking some heat for this. I'm not going to boycott Gillette. Typically, I buy my razors out of the dollar bin. My beard grows as well as I whistle. So I don't need a $19 razor that's got little razor inserts that cost more than my first frickin' car. But I can see why people would boycott it. But if I chose to boycott it, it wouldn't be because of this particular campaign in terms of what it's saying. I would boycott it because I'm sick and tired of corporate America going all Benetton on us and trying to make some kind of cultural statement as though they are the arbiters of civility. Why don't we put some of this blame where the blame belongs? The breakdown of the family, the removal of prayer from our school, perhaps even the elimination of the mandatory draft. Oh, that's too toxic. You're teaching men how to use guns. Oh, yeah. And defend our nation, stay in shape, be honorable, honor authority. Yeah, those are some pretty damn terrible things as well. The video is more than just an advertisement for the company's products. Gillette is using it as a way to promote change in society and has dedicated a page on its website to the cause. Oh, that's sweet. They dedicated a page to the cause. What freaking cause? It's not my favorite word in the world, but Doug Giles, who happens to be the father of Hannah Giles, who you might remember from the old Acorn prostitution stings that Project Veritas did, he wrote a book called Pussification. Yep, and that's what we're doing. I think one day women, I'm not talking about the assault victims here. I think one day women in general are going to wake up and go, what the hell happened to the men? Now almost everything we do is suspect. This particular ad is about about a minute and a half long. There are some video aspects to it that, of course, I cannot show you. If you have not seen it, I suggest you go online and YouTube it. It's just put in Gillette, and I mean, it's the very first thing that pops up. But I want you to just listen to everything that apparently is now toxic in this country as it relates to men. Yes, boys should not be beating the living heck out of each other. Yes, men should not be assaulting women. Whistling at a woman, in my opinion, is low class, but it's not, in my determination, it's not assault. But there's one scene in this particular video where a pretty girl walks down a sidewalk, and you'll hear it in the audio. A guy turns to look, and his friends stop. Hey, man, that's not cool. So tie your Birkenstocks and put your bun back in place. Yeah, pussification indeed. Check this out.
Bullying.
The Me Too movement against sexual
Toxic
harassment.
masculinity.
Is this the best a man can get? Is it? We can't hide from it.
Sexual harassment is taking over.
It's been going on far too long. We can't laugh it off.
Who's the daddy?
What I actually think she's trying to say.
Making the same old excuses.
Boys will be boys.
Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys.
But something finally changed.
Allegations regarding sexual assault and sexual harassment.
But she said we crossed the line.
And there will be no going back. Because we believe in the best in men.
Men need to hold other men accountable.
Smile, sweetie.
Come on.
To say the right thing. To act the right way.
Bro, not cool. Not cool.
Some already are. In ways big
Yo, men, we're acting like we bullshit.
and small.
I am strong.
But some is not enough.
That's not how we treat each other, okay?
Because the boys watching today will be the men of tomorrow.
You heard the whistling. You heard that it was very quiet, but there was one scene where a guy says, what she's trying to say is that particular scene was in a boardroom or meeting room, a conference room, where apparently a woman made a point and her boss jumps in and gives it the old what she was trying to say. And I had that done to me, by the way, by another man. And, you know, in watching this particular video, this causes me to wonder at what point did this nation suddenly become toxic? Because it seems to be toxic everywhere. So let's line up the toxic. I'm a male, so I'm toxic. I'm white, so I'm privileged. I mean, do you see where I'm starting to go with this? I'm American, so I am the scourge of the international community. I'm a Christian, so I'm a social outcast. I'm straight, so I'm homophobic. I'm male, so by default I'm misogynistic. Apparently, because of the Caucasian nature of my skin, I'm also racist. I'm a bigot. I'm still here. Is that what we want? Is that what we've become? It's interesting to note that in years past, that there was class after class after class of class after class after class of victims. Now we've created class after class after class of tormentors. So I'm a misogynist, a bigot, I'm toxic, I'm privileged. I mean, you might as well throw anti-Semite in there. Although I've got Jewish heritage in my family, apparently I'm an anti-Semite. Married to a woman, so I guess I'm homophobic. Oh, I forgot to mention that I am from the Deep South, so I'm also a redneck. Mm-hmm. I had someone tell me, someone I related to, tell me about 4 months ago that because I have a concealed carry permit that I was 90%, I forgot exactly how it was, but it was high, 90% more likely to strike a woman because I carry a gun. I searched for 2 days for that statistic. You can never validate it. By the way, that was somebody from the psychological community. Let me tell you something. And I know I'm broad brushing here. I get this. But I have learned that people that say that, or people that perform in the psychological community, I find them to be the most mental of all. Broad brush, I get it. Don't even care anymore. One of the things that I decided to do when I took this program online after getting off the terrestrial signal, as well as doing the podcasting and the chirping and the tweeting and everything else that goes along with it, one of the things that I promised myself I would do would be real raw with people, real honest with people. This is ridiculous, folks. This is absolutely ridiculous. I'm not asking you to boycott Gillette. I don't care what you do with them. It's just, it's ignorant. It's imbecilic. Now, all of a sudden, every behavior, if you listen to the audio, and I'm going to play it again here in a second, but if you listen to the audio really well, every behavior that men engage in is now considered toxic. Now, will I admit that we do have a breakdown in maleness in this country? I think you can make that argument. But that's more along the lines of men in the home, raising your children, spending time with your sons. There's an old adage that goes, dads, your daughter will marry you and your son will become you. It's interesting how many fathers out there loathe the young men that their daughters choose. But very frequently, she chooses a man that embodies the virtue she sees in her own father. Sleep on that tonight. So now, corporate America is jumping in, perhaps to cover its own sins. Who knows? Stranger things have happened. But isn't it interesting to note that so many of these cultural breakdowns, and certainly the ones that seem to have escalated lately, gender identification, toxic masculinity, heightened assault against women, increase in drug abuse and suicide, increase in violence and bullying, so many of these things seem to be coinciding with actually a couple of different episodes or events in American life. Number one, that is the removal of prayer from the school. Number two, the elimination of the Conscription Act, otherwise known as the draft, where men were taught to be men, where they were taught to be in charge of their emotions, to stay physically fit, to honor and respect authority, to have a sense of community, patriotism, protectionism, and discipline. You marry the training that many of these men would have received via the military, and you couple that with a stark and devout belief in the Lord Jesus Christ as our Savior, you get a pretty darn good-looking young man, don't you? But we eliminated prayer from the school. We eliminated men's dedication to country. We have a media that is absolutely feckless and willing to say anything to sell a banner ad. And right before our very eyes, we watch the moral decay of this country increase with frightening speed. and we actually have the audacity to ask ourselves, what the hell is going on? Hart of America and the Michael Hart Show is brought to you in part by the Unknown America Project. Unknown America, myths and little-known oddities about the greatest nation on earth, explores many of the falsehoods and fallacies and revisions in American history that impact the beliefs and the thoughts of many people in this country today. So if you'd like to learn some of the most enduring myths that have been perpetrated on the American public for the last 100-plus years in this country, go check out the book at heartofamerica.net. That's heartofamerica.net. And pick up a copy of Unknown America. It comes out to you absolutely no shipping, be autographed, and we'll even send you a copy of the United States Constitution as our way of saying thanks. So support the Unknown America Project by simply going to theunknownamerica.com, and thank you for your support. The Land Report, the magazine for the American landowner, is a proud supporter of the Michael Hart Show. Currently, they're offering an exclusive subscription price for listeners of the Michael Hart Show. So click on the subscribe button on landreport.com and enter the code HARTSHOW at checkout and receive a one-year discount on America's #1 land magazine. You'll get a full year of the Land Report, which normally goes for $59, for only $15. That's a 75% savings off the cover price. Again, that's promo code HARTSHOW at checkout of thelandreport.com, and make sure to check out the Land Report on Facebook if you love land.
None shall pass. What? None shall pass.
I command you, as King of the Britons, to stand aside.
I move for
The Michael Hart Show.
You make me sad.
Against sexual harassment.
Masculinity.
Is this the best a man can get? Is it? We can't hide from it.
Sexual harassment is taking over.
It's been going on far too long. We can't laugh it off.
Who's the daddy? What I actually think she's trying to say.
Making the same old excuses.
Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys.
But something finally changed.
Allegations regarding sexual assault and sexual harassment.
But she said it counts a lot.
And there will be no going back. Because we believe in the best in men.
Men need to hold other men accountable.
Smile, sweetie.
Come on.
To say the right thing. To act the right way.
Bro, not cool. Not cool.
Some already are. In ways big
Yo, men.
and small.
I am strong.
But some is not enough.
That's not how we treat each other, okay? Okay.
Because the boys watching today will be the men of tomorrow.
There's a line in that video where it says that men should hold other men accountable, and I don't disagree with that. I think that men do need to hold men to a higher standard. I don't think it needs to come from a corporation. But more importantly than that, Men need to be held accountable when men do things that are not manly, when men do things that violate integrity, courage, credibility, morality, etc. Everything a man does is not toxic, and certainly looking at a woman would not fall in to that particular category. We'll keep an eye on this story moving forward as we continue to see group after group with cause after cause try to completely redesign the American culture and human culture into something that it was never intended to be, while accusing those, well, that are innocent of some of the most atrocious and egregious behaviors based on the actions of a few. One person, however, that did go a little, I guess, toxic and has paid the price for it is Representative Steve King. He's a Republican from Iowa, was stripped of his committee assignments by his fellow House Republicans just last evening following condemnation of King's recent remarks on white supremacy and white nationalism. We will not, this by the way is Kevin McCarthy of California, we will not tolerate this type of language in the Republican Party. I watched what Steve King said, and we took action. In a formal statement, McCarthy said King's comments were beneath the dignity of the party of Lincoln and the United States of America. His comments call into question whether he will treat all Americans equally without regard for race. House Republicans are quite clear. We are all in this together as fellow citizens, equal before God. Oh, look at that. They threw the God word out there. Equal before God and the law. As Congressman King's fellow citizens, let us hope and pray earnestly that his action will lead to greater reflection and ultimately a change on his part. In a statement of his own, King insisted that his comments have been completely mischaracterized and blasted McCarthy for what he called a political, this is a quote by the way, a political decision that ignores the truth. According to his website, where he apparently dedicated a page, King was previously a member of a House committee on the Judiciary, Agriculture, and Small Business committees. King has already been under fire from both parties over a series of racially charged remarks when he made the head-turning comments in a New York Times interview published last week. One of the things that he said, white nationalist, white supremacist, Western civilization. How did that language become offensive? Why did I sit in classes teaching me about the merits of our history and our civilization? Now, as I have pointed out many times before, all of us are victims of a misinformation campaign in our history classes. That's why we'll be doing some more chirps. Go check us out on the Chirp app. We just installed it. Hadn't even chirped yet. But you can download that in the iTunes store. You can also pick up a copy of Unknown America at theunknownamerica.com and also follow all the stuff on the Facebook pages as well as Heart of America. Because this guy right here is suggesting that, I don't know what school he went to, but I don't ever remember being taught that there was a thing, I didn't even know what white nationalism is until I started hearing about it the last several months. White supremacy, knew what that was, but I was never taught white supremacist stuff, and I went to school in Alabama, y'all. White nationalist, white supremacist, Western civilization. I had heard that, but I think that's more a matter of geography than philosophy. White nationalist, white supremacist, Western civilization. How did that language become offensive? I guess that's, Mr. King, because it really pretty much always was. In a statement released yesterday, King insisted his use of, quote, that language was referring only to Western civilization and not to any previously stated evil ideology, all of which I have denounced. I don't know what this means. My record as a vocal advocate for Western civilization. My record as a vocal advocate for Western civilization is nearly as full as my record in defense of freedom of speech. I will continue to point out the truth and work with all the vigor that I have to represent the 4th District Iowans for at least the next 2 years. The loss of King's committee assignments also might not be the end of his troubles. Also yesterday, Representatives Bobby Rush and Tim Ryan, both Democrats, introduced separate censure resolutions against King. Now, censure is one of the 3 formal modes of punishment in the House. It is more severe than a reprimand, but not obviously as severe as an expulsion. The House has only censured 23 members in history, most recently former Representative Charlie Rangel in December of 2010. Remember all the financial problems Rangel got into. Pardon me, coffee. Anything less than censure would be a slap on the wrist, according to Rush. Steve King's continual serial expression of hard, rabid racism must come to a screeching halt. If we believe this, and I don't know what's in Steve King's heart, but if we do believe that he is a racist, why is he not being expelled? Maybe they need to listen to the Gillette commercial. Because I would think that is a little bit on the toxic side. But see, that's not toxic masculinity. That's toxic racism. But then again, I guess we can talk out of both orifices of our body. Even Senate Republicans, like Mitch McConnell, saying that if King doesn't understand why white supremacy is offensive, he should find another line of work. Like what? A sheet maker? See, where I'm going with this is we over here on the razor company is jumping up and down on boys' heads because they're rough and tumble, and in the video, young boys. And then Mitch McConnell is, well, he should just find a line of work then. What? Racism doesn't have a place anywhere. Expel the fool and let's move on with it and send that kind of a message. Oh, but that would be too hard. That would be, toxic. You see, it's okay for a guy over here to beat the hell out of a woman or to force his sexual intents on him, while at the same time you got a white supremacist in Congress. But that's okay. I mean, he went to David Duke University, so I guess we can forgive him. McConnell did say there is no place in the Republican Party or Congress or the country for the idea of racial supremacy. I have no tolerance for such positions, and those who espouse these views are not supporters of American ideals and freedoms. Representative King's statements are unwelcome and unworthy of his elected position. Then expel him. You see these little parodies, and they can be really cute. We were talking yesterday with Lockett on his program, Outspoken, which I'll be on Thursday night for anybody that's local, about this whole Kevin Hart, Don Lemon thing. And I made a comment to Joe that I really like Kevin Hart. I saw his recent movie with Bryan Cranston just this past week. I believe it's called Upside. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. It's cute, it's inspiring, and it's funny in places. But Hart, and I've always, by the way, no relation, but I've often just really, really, really enjoyed his comedy. And I know he's had some pretty salty things to say, and, he's had his comments. But, I remove myself from other people's beliefs. I'm more worried, more concerned with what's going on the stage. But he was doing this skit some time ago about two guys getting into a fight in a bar and how they get all bowed up and they start, trash talking to one another. And they kind of walk around and, slapping their wrist and slapping them, slap it, but they never do anything. say just two guys, moving around a ring, and they're doing the chat, they're doing the street cred thing, and they're, I don't know, kick your mama don't, you know what I'm talking about? That's what the Republicans seemed like with me, with this guy. He's not worthy to be in the office. His statements are unwelcome. They're unworthy. Oh, but we're just going to censure him. Not going to expel him. That would hurt his feelings. And we don't want to be toxic. So anyway. Oh, by the way, Mitt Romney also chimed in, said that his remarks are his own, speaking of King, his remarks are his own and his exclusively. And what he said was reprehensible and ought to lead to his resignation from Congress. Oh, there we go. Well, we're not going to run him off, but we'll accept his resignation. Mm-hmm. What was the name of that book that Doug Giles wrote? Was it The Pussification of Congress? Well, maybe I need to write that book. I don't think he got to that one yet. Mm-hmm. Romney went on to say, I think it's very clear the party's leadership is unified that Steve King is out of bounds and that he should no longer be serving in Congress. Okay. Then kick him out. Okay, yeah. We need to have a new commercial. Is this the best Congress can get? Moving on past that, I'm going to take a look here in just a moment about 2020 and who the Democrats think may very well be their number one choice for the presidential nomination. Told you a little bit earlier today that at the age of 97, Carol Channing has died. Also, we've got some comments from Jimmy Fox. He was urging politicians to, stop our side versus your side debate when it comes to guns and violence and violent acts using guns. So these stories we'll get into here as well. Phones are open, 929-477-3761, if you want to chime in on either one of these stories. Do also want to encourage you to check us out at heartofamerica.net, heartofamerica.net. It's a great way to support the program. We would appreciate your support as we continue to build this thing out. There is a Patreon link for you there. Patreon is real easy to use. And by the way, if you do support us on Patreon, even at the $6.95 level, we will send you out absolutely free of charge a copy of Unknown America. It will come to you with no shipping. There's no cost whatsoever. It's just our way of saying thank you for supporting the program. This is not a permanent relationship between you, Patreon, and me. You can cancel at any time whatsoever. I know that $6.95 does not seem like an awful lot of money, and that it couldn't possibly help, but it could, and it does. And it's what's allowed us to buy video cameras and do other audio as we continue to spread the message of, frankly, that you're being lied to. And one of the reasons that we're so adamant about this, believe it or not, even goes back to the Stephen King story, where he makes comments about what he was taught in American history class. What are these people being taught? Who are these people? Who are these teachers? What is this curriculum? Because the overwhelming majority of things that are being taught in this country, folks, are wrong. They are factually inaccurate and on so many different levels. And I'm not kidding about that. If you look at history, and it doesn't matter if it's American history or Americana or sports history or black history or pre-American history, I mean, you would be stunned at how much you think you might know about. I'm almost 58 years old. And until I was 54, 55, I believed all of the same things that most other people believed. We celebrate events that never happened. We don't celebrate people that should be celebrated and honored. There have been fundamental changes made to this country for the good from minority groups. There are arguments, debates, fights, and killings going on in this country predicated on events that were never even occurred. You would be stunned. In the second edition, which will be out as soon as I have the time to write it, or finish it anyway, the editing portion of it, has even more stuff in it. So go check it out. Go to Heart of America, pick up a copy of the book, support the program, and help us help America, because it's not, all I'm doing is being your mouthpiece, which is why you're also welcome to call in and put your voice out there across the internet and let people know exactly what you think. Because in a world where I am toxic, I'm a racist, I'm homophobic, I'm a xenophobic, because I'm a Christian, I am now an anti-Semite. Folks, right before your very eyes. I'm going to tell you something. I know a lot of people that listen to this program are older. Man, I don't begrudge your children raising their children. Because I got news for you, guys and gals. If you're in your 30s or younger, your children are about to move into a world that you have absolutely no understanding of. And that's not your fault. I'm not saying that you're stupid. I'm just saying that the world has changed that much. Their children will inherit a world that you, right now, would not recognize. Where everything is neutral. It's all groupthink. Think 1984. You think that book was scary then? That's exactly what's happening right before your very eyes. Programs like this and others. Let me tell you something that I really hope sinks in. When you turn on the radio, any radio, and I do. I love me some country and western music. I truly do. And when I'm in the truck, that stereo is wide open. And I love me some Bo Cephas, Kenny Chesney, Carrington, you name it. I love them all. But when you're listening to music in the truck or the van, the car, whatever, you are having a passive relationship with that artist, with that radio station. But in the case of talk radio, it was always designed and hoped to be interactive. And people that do this for a living, it's the reason this program's on live. The overwhelming majority of stuff that you listen to online is archived, recorded, uploaded for later consumption. I dedicated myself to doing this program live to give people the opportunity to call in, which is why I ask you to share the audios, share the show links if you're listening. If you are listening online, that you stay with us as long as you possibly can, that you listen through your device. You can actually go over to Heart of America and bookmark that page, and it'll put a little thing on your phone that's just a little heart. It's really pretty cool. And I think that if people understood that here's an opportunity for everybody to participate and play along, that we'd get a lot more done in this country. And I'm being very serious about this, because I don't think enough people realize that we are, in fact, watching this country fall apart right before our very eyes. And our children, you won't talk about things like bullying. We have a heightened and increased amount of bullying in this country. Kids going home and taking their own lives because of things going on social media. We have an opioid crisis in our poorest neighborhoods and our richest neighborhoods. There's something we can all agree on, right? Everybody always looking for bringing the suburbs and the inner city together with love and compassion. Yeah, our kids are all drugged up. There's some common ground for you. We got a drug epidemic. We got a toxic epidemic, Kids committing suicide. Suicides on the increase amongst adults. All this is happening because people are overwhelmed, and they're overwhelmed by inaccuracies and falsehoods. Not just in the news, but in the assumptions. We are literally watching a civilization unravel right before our very eyes. And it's time that we stood. I'm not talking about being toxic or assaults against women. It goes much deeper than that. These are symptoms of something that is much more pervasive. And it's time for the adults in the room to mobilize, to spread the word, to participate, to have your voices heard, to spread the news of these type of programs, to support them in any way you can, but more importantly, to engage in your churches, your communities, your homes, to run for office, and in the lives of your child. Because every single day, and I was talking to Joe about this just last night. Joe Lockett, for those of you just tuning in, the host of Outspoken, that what you see on his program and what you hear on this and all conservative programming, or anything that you even watch, even on the liberal side, that all the things that you see, all the stories that they cover, represents a mere fraction of the news that they had to go through to come up with that programming. The murders that are covered on TV represent only a portion of the ones that occurred the day before. And and I've said this before, if you knew some of the things that those of us in the media know, you'd be even more sickened and frightened than perhaps you already are. So what are we going to do about it? Yeah, it starts with talking. It starts with being honest. It starts with being raw. And that's exactly what we're dedicated to doing right here on this program. Because you're being lied to. And because we are all being lied to, we get people like Steve King elected to the House of Representatives. Such a racist, it would appear, that it would embarrass David Duke. And the Stephen Kings of the world are a byproduct of what too many people in this country believe, but what too many other people in this country ignore. Going to take a real quick break, come back on the other side. Who is the best bet to win the 2020 Democratic presidential primary? You'll probably be quite surprised at this. Also, we got a little bit into this Louis Farrakhan story coming up on the other side on this edition of the Michael Hart Show on the Heart of America Talk Radio Network. Y'all stick around. We're coming right back.
Have a water problem? Drainage around your home can cause all kinds of headaches. Disease-causing mold, cracks in walls, foundation failure, even roof leaks. At Alabama Water Management, we know that problems can often be fixed from where the water is coming from, outside. Our approach is less invasive and less expensive. So before you spend thousands on a potentially unnecessary waterproofing system, call Alabama Water Management for a free evaluation. Alabama Water Management. Don't waterproof, water prevent.
Find Alabama Water Management on Facebook or on their website at alah2o.com. Heart of America and the Michael Hart Show is brought to you in part by the Unknown America Project. Unknown America, myths and little-known oddities about the greatest nation on earth, explores many of the falsehoods and fallacies and revisions in American history that impact the beliefs and the thoughts of many people in this country today. So if you'd like to learn some of the most enduring myths that have been perpetrated on the American public for the last 100-plus years in this country, go check out the book at heartofamerica.net. That's heartofamerica.net. landreport.net and pick up a copy of Unknown America. It comes out to you absolutely no shipping, be autographed, and we'll even send you a copy of the United States Constitution as our way of saying thanks. So support the Unknown America Project by simply going to theunknownamerica.com, and thank you for your support. The Land Report, the magazine for the American landowner, is a proud supporter of the Michael Hart Show. Currently, they're offering an exclusive subscription price for listeners of the Michael Hart Show. So click on the subscribe button on landreport.com and enter the code HARTSHOW at checkout and receive a 1-year discount on America's #1 land magazine. You'll get a full year of the Land Report, which normally goes for $59, for only $15. That's a 75% savings off the cover price. Again, that's promo code HARTSHOW at checkout of thelandreport.com, and make sure to check out the Land Report on Facebook if you love land.
Anyone can tell you the news.
We welcome Diamond and Silk.
Mark Zuckerberg will end up, and it's going to be a face without the book.
Book without the face.
Hey, Megan, how are you?
Now they're chipping away at the normalization of pedophilia, and the left is embracing this type of behavior.
We welcome Dinesh D'Souza.
I know I ticked him off. In a certain sense, it's a giant up yours to Obama, and that's why the left is freaking out over it.
Jack Kennedy and LBJ, Clinton, and the double standard from the left.
Yeah, I love how the left does nothing but push the most bizarre practices down our throats and up our tailpipes.
It takes a real man to tackle the hot issues that really matter.
Michael Hart is the man of this house.
Welcome to the Michael Hart Show.
Hey, welcome back. All right, we got about 20 minutes or so to go. If you are interested in calling the program, 929-477-3761. Was telling you a little while ago about this brand new app I'm going to start using today. I think you'll get a kick out of it as well. It's called Chirp. You can go over to the App Store. It's more or less Twitter for your voice. So if you are interested in micro podcasting, I'll use it for Unknown America stuff out of the book. And every single day I'll put out another little tidbit on Unknown American history, and you can go check that out. It's fun. I'll keep it brief. It seems like everybody's more interested in audios and videos over copy printed posts and updates anyway. So, yeah, there's an app for that. There's an app for everything, isn't there? God, I'm overwhelmed with apps. I'm overwhelmed with bad news. I'm overwhelmed with toxic masculinity. What in the world is going on? Woo! Also, in an unsettled field, betting on the victor of the Democrat 2020 presidential primary might be risky business at this stage of the game. In January 2015, for example, Jeb Bush was atop the Republican pack and Donald Trump 5 months away from disrupting everything. So it's pretty premature at this stage of the game. However, there are indicators to assess the potential success of some of the burgeoning campaigns among dozens of names on the left as a very, like at this stage of the game, likely victor for 2020 from the Dems, Senator Kamala Harris. Dun, 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 dun. At 54, Harris is 2 decades younger than some of her competitors, an age that enables her to appeal to the Instagram crowd without being painted as inexperienced. A child of immigrants, she brings diversity to a party obsessed with racial and gender politics. That, by the way, from the Camilla Report, and was not necessarily from me. Diversity to a party obsessed with racial and gender politics. By the way, as we continue on with our Ginsburg watch, because I really do believe that old Ruthie is probably going to be stepping down. If not in the next few days, it's probably going to happen sometime in late winter, if it even takes that long. You can pretty much bet your balloons that Donald Trump is going to be appointing a female jurist, because It's the year of the woman. Yeah. Hashtag replace Ruth. But it looks like Harris, because of the gender politics that even they refer to, is going to be the darling of the party if things stay on the current trajectory. She's only been in the Senate 2 years. Listen to this, okay? This is from a report that also came up on Fox News. She's been in the Senate only 2 years, not long enough to amass a voting record on thorny issues or carry the stench of Washington. Ooh, can y'all think of another Democrat candidate in recent memory that almost the exact same thing can be said of? Short tenure in the Senate. Not a lot to vet out. I wonder who that could be, Barack. Harris represents California, whose nearly 40 million citizens account for 12% of the entire country's population. Typically an afterthought in the voting process with its June primary, the Golden State moved its date up to March 3rd. The leapfrogging means it will play an outsized role in the nomination, and its hometown representatives stand to benefit. Now, Harris's home state advantage is no guarantee, obviously. Delegates will be assigned by a congressional district, of which there are 53, across California's 11 media markets. Opportunistic candidates can pick off wins by blanketing targeted areas of the state with their resources. But running as a liberal in a deep blue state, Harris has never been through the ringer of a national political campaign. She faced no Republican opposition for her only Senate run, trouncing the nearest Democrat by the largest margin of any non-incumbent senator in about 100 years. Candidates also get better with practice, and Harris's inexperience on the national scene could, according to some political pundits, cause some bumps along the way. Harris's tenure on the Judiciary Committee has not been without some controversy. Even the Washington Post awarded her the dubious Four Pinocchios Award for misleading attacks against Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. More recently, she faced allegations of anti-Catholic bigotry for denigrating the Knights of Columbus, and in a sad reality in 2019 that principled Catholics face hostility in the Democrat Party, which was once led by, of all people, the Catholic John Fitzgerald Kennedy. But, you know, hey, I guess it's toxic Catholicism. Yeah. But more than anything else, Harris's greatest vulnerabilities lie in her professional background. Presidential candidates must put forth their entire resumes to be picked apart by the media and opposition researchers who frame it for consumption for the general public. And that's always been the way that it is. Everything is packaged for consumption. Harris, whose roots are in law enforcement, first as a district attorney for San Fran and then Attorney General of California, carrying the banner of law enforcement for Democrats is akin to entering a Republican primary with a resume advocating tax hikes. Both positions fly in the face of orthodoxy among activists who decide the primaries in California. For example, 4 years ago, Hillary Clinton struggled to explain her support for the 1994 crime bill, which was one of the components of her husband, President Bill Clinton's commitment to law and order. 20 years later, that particular position has been a headache in a party deeply skeptical of law enforcement. And again, much of that skepticism, the byproduct of the overwhelmingly large numbers of minorities which vote Democrat, despite the fact that many Latinos are in fact Catholic, and that, quite frankly, from my perspective in particular, many of the values of the Republican Party more efficiently line up with the values that I have seen within the black community than do the Democrats' values. But then again, I can argue that point till I'm blue in the face, and it will get me essentially nowhere. A couple other stories that we're kind of keeping an eye open for you. The View grills Women's March co-founder Tamika Mallory over ties to Louis Farrakhan, and also we've got the old Jamie Foxx chiming in on the gun debate. Perhaps we will save those stories for another day. Do want to remind you also that tomorrow is going to be the Unknown America edition of the program, Myths and Little Known Oddities about the greatest nation on earth. If you tune into that program, you will learn some very interesting things about this country, things that perhaps you did not know. We'll be putting that on our social media platforms in the next hour or two, a little bit more about what is going to be the context. Now, on Wednesday, typically we will break down one of the news stories of the day, one of the hot trending news stories of the day, from a historical perspective in the first half of the broadcast, and then the second half give you some insights into things that you might not have known just from American history. So you want to stay tuned for that, because what we're doing here on the Heart of America broadcast is breaking down the hot trending news of the day through the prism of the past. Because if you don't understand the past, you don't understand history, then much of what is going on in the world around us today simply does not make as much sense to you as it should. And quite frankly, as far as I'm concerned, perhaps does not cause you as much concern as it should. Finally today, the View co-host Sunny Hostin and Meghan McCain grilled Women's March co-founder Tamika Mallory over her ties to Louis Farrakhan in a heated discussion that was yesterday morning. Mallory raised eyebrows when she said that the controversial Nation of Islam leader, that be old Louis, who, by the way, plays a mean saxophone, is the greatest of all times, not because of the saxophone, but because of what he's done in black communities. Yeah. Hostin said to old Tamika, you came under some fire for your relationship with Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam. He's known for being anti-Semitic, for being homophobic, but do you attend his events? And you posted a photo calling him the GOAT, it's an acronym meaning greatest of all time. Are you running an organization that says it fights bigotry? Do you understand why your association with him is quite problematic? Mallory fired back. I think it's important to put my attendance, my presence at Savior's Day, which is the highest holy day for the Nation of Islam in its proper context. The Women's March co-founder then said that as a leader, as a black leader, in a country that is still dealing with some very serious unresolved issues as it relates to the black experience in this country, that she needed to go into difficult spaces to promote her cause. She went on to say, I wrote a piece immediately following the beginning of this controversy, talking about wherever my people are, that's where I must also be. I also go into prisons. I am trying to help people. Meghan McCain jumped in. I would never be comfortable supporting someone who said, I'm not anti-Semitic, I'm anti-termite. This is Farrakhan's words, by the way. I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm not an anti-Semite, pardon me. I'm an anti-termite. It's the wicked Jews, the false Jews, that are promoting lesbianism. on homosexuality. Now, McCain is saying these words, quoting Farrakhan. McCain then said that reporters feel that there is anti-Semitism surrounding the Women's March. She went on to say, a lot of people, by a lot of people, I include me in this. That's a choppy sentence. A lot of people, by a lot of people, I include me in this, think you're using your organization as anti-Semitism masked in activism, and that you're using identity politics to shield yourself from critiques. You're talking about all women being invited to that march? I'm pro-life. We were not invited. McCain then finally added that all women, including Jewish and conservative women, should be welcome. Mallory was joined by Women's March co-founder Bob Bland in Monday's segment, which didn't feature co-host Abby Huntsman or Joy Behar, who gave up their seats on the show for the Women's March leaders. So there you have it, a woman who's espousing equal rights for women in a very cozy relationship with one of the country's biggest racists and certainly most ardent anti-Semites. And that's the way things roll here, ladies and gentlemen, on the 15th of January, 2019. That's it for us. We're going to wrap things up. Invite you to make absolutely certain that you join us on tomorrow's Unknown America broadcast. So many cool things that we will be sharing with you on that particular program. You've been listening to The Michael Hart Show right here on the Heart of America Talk Radio Network. Please go check out a copy of the book at theunknownamerica.com. Again, I'll send you out a copy of the Constitution and waive the shipping and handling for you. Can only keep this up so much longer. I've been doing it for a while, but we do it at our expense. And so help us out there any way you can. And also over there at Heart of America, H-A-R-T, Heart of America. If you can go to heartofamerica.net and consider supporting us on the Patreon app, we would also very much appreciate that. And we will be chirping a little bit later today, so you can download the chirp. Maybe I'll put I actually have a link that I could put up on the Facebook pages as well as the websites to follow us on the chirp link. So go check that out. It's a great way to, just kind of check in on what's going on in the Unknown America each and every day. That's it for us. Make plans to attend tomorrow, beginning at 8 o'clock. Please share the program. Please tell somebody about it today. We will be forever in your gratitude. You've been listening to The Michael Hart Show right here on Heart of America, brought to you in part by LibertyOneTech.com, LibertyOneTech.com, and the Unknown America Project. Back with you live tomorrow at 8 a.m. Heart of America and The Michael Hart Show is brought to you in part by the Unknown America Project. Unknown America, myths and little-known oddities about the greatest nation on earth, explores many of the falsehoods and fallacies and revisions in American history that impact the beliefs and the thoughts of many people in this country today. So if you'd like to learn some of the most enduring myths that have been perpetrated on the American public for the last 100-plus years in this country, go check out the book at heartofamerica.net. That's heartofamerica.net. And pick up a copy of Unknown America. It comes out to you absolutely no shipping, be autographed, and we'll even send you a copy of the United States Constitution as our way of saying thanks. So support the Unknown America Project by simply going to theunknownamerica.com, and thank you for your support.